Coming up on today's show, how have the transfer portal moves so far affected the way that people think about Big Ten basketball going into next season? And plus, Matt Sheehan is in and he's got a game for us to play. That's coming up here on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
You're listening to Locked On Big Ten, everything you need to know about the conference every day. Alongside Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans, I'm Nate Dickinson. Coming up on today's show, we're going to play a game later on with Matt. He hasn't told me what that is yet. We'll see at the end of the show. But first, I want to talk a little bit about transfer portal stuff and really just where the Big Ten basketball programs are at this point in the offseason as a whole. We'll get to that in a second. But first, Matt, happy Friday.
Happy Friday, Nate. The day before one of my favorite, if not my favorite event of the entire year, the Run for the Roses, the Kentucky Derby. Maybe the game at the end of the show has something to do with that. I don't know. Who's to say? Well, I'm just saying. And it does, but also a Big Ten tie. So it's going to be a fun one. So stick around for that one, folks. That's what they call a teaser, Nate. That's right. We're doing it big.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not looking forward to it. Let's talk about what's going on right now, or at least in the future of Big Ten basketball. It's been, of course, a long time since the beginning of the offseason in college basketball. A lot has happened since then. A lot of changes have been made. But of course, there's still a lot of time left to go before we get back to basketball still, too. So while there's still plenty that can change, we do have an updated kind of early top 25 from ESPN. And the biggest thing I wanted to get to with what we look at here as we look at these teams, as I'm trying to give credit to the right person here, Jeff Borzello of ESPN, is the person who released this out. It's right now 2 Big Ten teams only in that top 25, and neither of them really in a prime national contender spot. It's Michigan at 14, Indiana at 15. And this is after all the changes that we've already seen. It's a weak Big Ten conference at the moment going into next season, the way things look. We knew that already. But is it really, really this bad at the time that we're looking at it now?
Yes. Unfortunately, I think so. Like, I hate to say this on Locked On Big Ten. Like, I know that this is probably not what people want to hear tuning into the show, but like, kind of, yeah. So like, they're also in the middle too, which I feel like for Michigan, who is, the odds-on favorite to win the Big Ten next year, I feel like that's fair for them because they're also kind of in this weird limbo too. Like, they lose their point guard, Frankie Collins. Hunter Dickinson comes back, and that's great. But you also have Moussa Diabate and Caleb Houston that may or may not be returning. And then on top of that, like, they seem to be doing a big roster overhaul over in Ann Arbor. But Indiana, like, yeah, that seems fair enough for them. Like, Trace Jackson Davis coming back, that's pretty good for them. But then again, it's not like they were world beaters last year. So, yeah, they'll be better than last year. Is that really saying a lot, though? And then you fly around the rest of the Big Ten country. Like, Nate, me or you might be playing the wing for Purdue next year. Like, they lost everyone on the perimeter. Michigan State, well, yeah, we say it's a busy transfer portal season. Not in East Lansing, I'll tell you that much. So we only have 9 scholarship players right now as things stand. And listen, Wisconsin, we all know how much they lost. Iowa, they lost Keegan Murray, of course. So yeah, I'm sorry. This is just a long way of me saying, I think it is going to be that rough next year for the Big Ten. And also, it doesn't help that the last few tournaments, when you were considered this great conference, nothing really happens at all in the NCAA tournament other than Michigan beating Rick Barnes in the round of 32. Like, that's all we got here. So how about that for a grim start to the Friday episode, huh? There we go. Look at us rocking and rolling.
Well, it's not the fact that there aren't any contenders in the Big Ten. I feel like that's something that I'm at least accepting at this point, because I don't think there's going to be that kind of a big shakeup. And if someone's going to get there, it's going to be playing their way there once the season starts.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit surprised, at least, by only having 2 Big Ten teams, though, total and throughout this entire top 25. I mean, college basketball is really good, and there's a whole bunch of teams who have gotten a lot better. So in the sense that that's kind of what you're highlighting when you're updating these rankings, maybe that plays a role. But there has to be at least somebody else who's this good in the Big Ten conference. This conference is too deep, and obviously there's a whole lot of lost talent, but it's not that much. Somebody else is going to have to step up here.
Yeah, and I think Illinois might be one of those teams that are on the outside looking in, right? I mean, yeah, they did lose some players in the portal. If not, well, just the straight up NBA draft and Kofi Coburn. But nice little addition in Terrence Shannon, who's probably a top 5 portal pickup in the nation. So that's going to help. And listen, they always have good players down there in Champaign. Brad Underwood, as much as I hate to say it, fine coach. He's doing a really good job down there turning around that program. So, yeah, listen, are they going to be great? Probably not. But I think pretty good is going to have you in that upper echelon of the Big Ten. And once you start working your way up there, I mean, yeah, by early January, if not even sooner than that, you could see them in the 20s, if not high teens in the rankings. So yeah, Illinois is right on the outside looking in, is probably the third team in the Big Ten, as much as it pains me to say. I'd love to say Michigan State, but I think that'd be disingenuous on this side of the microphone here. But we're not going to be horrible, but I think Illinois is going to be third in line behind Michigan and Indiana going into next year. That's how I see it, at least.
How many teams do you think are in that group, that Michigan State group of having, just about, you don't know where you're going to be. You think you'll be okay. I mean, I'm thinking about just about all the other potential top 25 teams that could be mentioned in this list, like from last season. It seems like just about all of them have fallen into this kind of group where it's just up in the air.
Can I say 10, like 10 teams?
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, it really is. There's a combination of like the 4 or 5 teams who are up there who are going to fall down. And then there's obviously those 4 or 5 teams in the bottom part of the group who are getting a little bit better and didn't lose anybody too.
I can realistically say, okay, not realistically, but like I can see an outcome of the season where like 8 or 10 teams are like 11-9 in conference play, or 9-11, just somewhere between those numbers. Like it's if not for nothing, it is going to be a competitive Big Ten season next year. Like every night is going to be a matchup that could come down to the final possession, which if you love stressing yourself out every night, this is going to be the upcoming season for you. This is going to be a stressful gambler's paradise coming up next winter. That's right. Can't wait. Let's go.
Let's get into that kind of perceived skill, at least for the Big Ten going forward. We talked plenty about how, or other people, I guess, have talked and criticized plenty about how Big Ten has been always seen as this great big conference, but hadn't been getting it done in the postseason. We're now seeing kind of the other side of that coin. Big Ten's going into this season not looking like a super strong conference. Is there a way to play out of that kind of preconceived notion in the non-conference enough that Big Ten can say it's really legit by the time it gets to the conference play and it starts beating up on each other?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, you could always surprise people in the early non-conference games, whatever team. Sorry, I don't know this off the top of my head, but like whoever's in the Maui Invitational or the Battle for Atlantis or any of those fun little tournaments, like that's always fun. I think MSU will be playing in the PK 80 next year. I believe that's next season and not the season following. But yeah, like Big Ten's always prime for the picking to get some early excitement going, right? I mean, no doubt about it. But also, like we saw it last year with Michigan too, like you could also get knocked down a few pegs really early on. No, sure, it was against like a great team like Arizona right off the top. I believe Seton Hall, which was a spicy team last year. But yeah, like as easy as you can improve yourself, you could also prove that, maybe the upper echelon of your conference ain't so good after all. But oh boy, no, it's too early. It's too early in the offseason to get this stressed about basketball. No, actually, it's not. I've been stressing all offseason about it. Who am I kidding? But
I mean, it seems, at least with some of the stuff I'm looking at, like the Big Ten is noticeably kind of behind a little bit on getting transfer guys, or at least filling in holes that they have. Is that at least as bad as what it looks like when I'm reading about all that stuff here, you think?
That's a great question, because also like this May 1st deadline just passed where players had to enter their name in the portal in order to get, eligibility for next season. So maybe some coaches and programs were just sitting around waiting to see, okay, what's that final list going to look like once May 1st rolls around? And now maybe that the gears are going to start to turn a little bit here. Also, and like this is an MSU problem, but it's also maybe a problem for a lot of other programs. I know Ohio State is one that's like this, but a lot of programs, too, are just looking for big men, like either power forward or a center. And let me tell you what position is not entering the portal, like whatsoever. And that's, hey, surprise, surprise, it's power forward and center. So, like, this is also maybe why it's a slow grind in the offseason for the transfer portal for some of these programs like Michigan State, like Ohio State, that, yeah, we're looking for a big man, but there isn't really a lot out there. We're all good on wing players. So maybe that's why it's kind of just crickets for a lot of these programs around Big Ten play, because yeah, we have a need, but there's no supply for this demand that the Big Ten has. So good luck, everyone, I guess. Yeah.
Big Ten had 9 tournament teams last year. What do you think is a good number for this season?
Oh, that's a good question, Nate. That's a really good question. I want to throw out like a smooth 7 if I can. No, I'm feeling good today. It's Friday. 8. Let's go. We're going to drive it up to 8, baby. And it's going to be like, just like I said, like 5 of these teams are going to be 11-9, 12-8 in conference play, maybe like a win in the Big Ten tournament. So yeah, it'll be a lot of teams perhaps seated like in that 6, 7, 8, dare I say 9 range. But yeah, well, I'm feeling 8. I'm feeling 8. Why not? Yeah, ask me that in a few months. That might be a lower number. Or hey, maybe offseason gets a little better here, and we'll scoot that up to 9. Who's to say? Stay tuned.
Yeah, still some time for Big Ten teams to pick it up and pick up some players in the transfer portal, of course. And we're still, 6 months away from really even getting started in the season anyway. So it's a long, long time before we really, really have to start talking about this stuff. But of course, when things start getting updated, we talk about it whenever we can. It's every single day we got to do these shows. Matt Sheehan still with us here on Locked On Spartans. We're going to play a game in a minute here with Matt. I don't know what it is. He just said he had one for us. We'll have that for you right here in just a second. It is prime time betting season if you are a sports gambling fan. Baseball's in full swing. Basketball's in the middle of the postseason, as well as hockey. The Kentucky Derby is tomorrow. It's going to be a whole lot of fun over the next couple of weeks and months if you're someone who likes to put your money where your mouth is in your sports takes. And Bet Online can make sure that you're saying and putting your money on the right things. Bet Online is more than just a place to get all your bets, and they have all the bets free to place. All the lines, parlays, any sort of combination of ways you want to bet that you can. Bet Online has it. Up to date and, of course, with all of the latest trends. But also, you can get the information where normally you go from about 5-10 different sites maybe to get all your info on your games that you're going to bet on. You can just go to Bet Online, get all of the info you need all in one place, and make it a one-stop shop for you. So head on over to Bet Online right now to see everything I'm talking about. Bet Online, where the game starts. Back in on Locked On Big Ten alongside Matt Sheehan of Locked On Spartans. I'm Nate Dickinson. We're playing a game here with Matt, and Matt brought in the game, didn't want to tell me what it was, so I'll let him take it away, and we'll see what's going on.
Didn't want to spoil it. Didn't want any backdoor research going on because, Nate, we are going to play an oldie but a goodie in the Locked On Spartans corner of the internet or the listenership or whatever you want to call it. Now, for the last 3 years on Locked On Spartans, we've done Kentucky Derby jockey or MSU athlete. I give you a name, and you got to guess if it's a Kentucky Derby jockey in tomorrow's race or an MSU athlete. However, this is Locked On Big Ten, so Kentucky Derby jockey or Big Ten football player, Nate. I got 12 names in front of me. I'm going to rattle off the name. You don't got to give me the school or position. You just got to tell me if it's a football player or a Kentucky Derby jockey. 12 names. Good, sir. Are you ready to get into this? And I must caveat this. No one ever does well at this. So if you go 4 of 12 here, that's a pretty good score, actually. That's better than most whenever we play this game. So whenever you're ready, I'm ready to bang out some names for you, man.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to this. I know you did say before, and then the people notoriously do not do well at this game, but I still don't like the idea of getting exposed here. So yeah, let's do it.
And these football players are like buried on like the depth chart too. This is great. Like we got, there might be like 3 starters amongst. Anyway, let's just start. Number 1, Coco Azima. Coco Azima. Is this a football player or a Kentucky Derby jockey, Nate?
Coco Azima. Coco Azima would be a good jockey name or a good football name, I think. Just a good sports name overall, Coco, really.
It's a great name. Yeah, it's an all-time name. One time for Coco Chris, by the way. Yeah, so Coco Azima. How are you feeling about this one?
Coco Azima. I'm going to go Big Ten football player. That seems like a Big Ten football player vibe.
It seems like a Big Ten football player, Nate, because it is a Big Ten football player. He is a defensive back for the Northwestern Wildcats. You are 1 for 1 out of the gates. Look at you as we go to number 2, Manny Franco. Manny Franco, I'm
going to go jockey. I like jockey for Manny Franco.
He will be on Zozos in tomorrow's run for the Roses down at Churchill Downs. You are 2 for 2, Mr. Nate Dickinson. As we head to number 3, Kyle Adams. Kyle Adams.
That's such a simple name. Just begs you to think about it too much, doesn't it? Kyle
That's
Adams.
why it's on here. That's right.
Kyle Adams.
Kyle Adams. Kyle Adams.
Kyle Adams seems too obviously as someone who could end up in the Big Ten trenches. I'm going to go jockey.
He is a gung-slinging quarterback for the Purdue Boilermakers.
Oh, no.
I'm sorry to say, Nate. Yes, he is a football player. As we head to number 4, Fabrizio Pinton. Fabrizio Pinton. Is this a jockey in the Kentucky Derby, or is this a football player in the Big Ten Conference, Nate?
I'm keeping track of my own picks as I do this too, because I don't want to lean too much on one side or the other. But I am going to go with my third straight jockey pick here.
And I'm sorry to say, but that would be a punter for the Illinois Fighting Illini, Nate. This is where it starts to get tricky here again. You could bet 500, which you are right now. You're 2 for 4. That's not so bad. As we head to number 5, Emilio Moran. Emilio Moran. Yes.
How often do people know the name? Like if you do Michigan State,
Almost
how
never.
often does someone say, "Oh, I've got it," and it's not actually
Never.
a guess?
Has not happened because we're pulling like second string tennis players. We're pulling like golfers. We pull every non-revenue sport, and we go deep on the depth chart too when it comes to this. So you're essentially flipping coins here.
Yeah, give it to me one more time.
I got you. Emilio Moran for number 5.
Jockey.
Offensive lineman for your Maryland Terrapins. He would not be a good jockey. This guy's about 6'7", clocking in at like 285 pounds. That'd be tough on the back of a horse. As we head to number 6, Nate, Ricardo Santana Jr.
It has to be a jockey. It has to be a jockey. It has to be a jockey. You've gone with 3 straight football players. But I've guessed jockey 4 straight. But I've guessed jockey 4 straight times. Now my notes are working against me.
This game also mentally breaks down people too. Yeah, this is where it gets good. Right in the middle of the game, where the wheels start falling off the bus.
I'm going jockey for a 5th time.
He will be riding Tawny Port in Saturday's Kentucky Derby. You are back to 500. You are off the schneid. You are 3 of 6 right now. As we reset. You got to reset, and that was a good reset right here as we head to number 7, Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. Isaiah Garcia Castaneda. Yeah, I think I said that right. Well, I usually butcher every name, but I actually got that one right, I think.
I think Big Ten football player.
Is that your final answer?
It is.
You would be correct. That is a wide receiver over in Nebraska. Catching balls for the Cornhuskers. You are back over 500. You are 4 for 7 right now as we head to number 8. One of my favorite names of all time, Joe Bravo. Joe Bravo.
That is a good name too. That's a really good name.
It's a great name. It's a great name.
Joe Bravo.
Yeah.
I think is also a Big Ten football player.
He will be in the irons riding Pioneer of Medina in the Kentucky Derby. We're back to 500. You are 4 for 8 as we head into the home stretch here. How are we feeling right now for these last 4 names, by the way? We feeling okay?
I'm okay. I have 4. Yeah, 4 for 8. I'm all right with 500.
I'd be thrilled with 500 in this game, no doubt about it. As we
I almost just looked up the odds for that horse because I like that guy's name, but I didn't want to cheat or anything. I can't do that.
Wow.
So I got it.
Nate Dickinson, man of integrity. That's what I'm talking about. As we head to number 8. Number 8? No, number 9. Sorry, I'm doing some Spartan math right now. Sonny Leone. Sonny Leone. Is he a Big Ten football player? Is he a Kentucky Derby jockey?
Sonny Leone. I will go Big Ten football player.
Jockey on Rich Strike. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. We're back below 500, but that's okay. We got 3 more to get on the right side of history here as we head to number 10, Bradley Robinson. Bradley Robinson.
Bradley Robinson. All right. There was the Smith earlier that I said was too obvious to be a Big Ten football player.
Yep,
and
Kyle
was
Adams
a Big Ten. Adams, not Smith. See, that's how basic that name was.
Sure.
And I said that was too obvious to be a Big Ten football player, and I went jockey, and I was wrong. This time I'll say Big Ten football player, and hope that my instinct of it being too obvious is right.
You don't have to hope, because you are correct. He is a lawn snapper for the Ohio State Buckeyes, coming back for like his 28th year of college. And I could joke about that because, hey, family friend, Bradley Robinson, great guy, great family. Love the whole Robinsons. Even the one that played at Michigan, great guy as well. As we head into the final two, what name did you just say was too obvious? Or was it Smith?
Adams.
Because Nate.
Oh, yeah.
Well, how about this? Mike Smith is number 11. Funny you say the name Smith, because Mike Smith is name number 11. Is this a Big Ten football player, or is this a Kentucky Derby jockey?
Okay, well, now I don't know what to think about this one.
Oh, yeah. See, head games right now. Head games are being played.
All right, to guarantee at least 500, right? I got 5 right now.
Yeah, this is big.
Okay, I'll go Kentucky Derby jockey.
He is riding one of the favorites, Tyba, in tomorrow's Run for the Roses at Churchill down to the Kentucky Derby. You have locked up 500 at worst as we go to the last one. Corey Lanieri. Corey Lanieri to take us home, Nate. Jockey or football player in the Big Ten Conference?
Not that I think I'm it, but who's done the best with this game?
So yesterday on Locked On Spartans, someone went 9 for 11, and that's been unheard of. Before that, like I'm talking like 4 of 11 or like 3 of 11. It usually goes completely and utterly off the rails. So you are already on the podium, no matter what happens here. Like this is all great.
I guess it's only so often you can play the game, really.
Sure. But people will reach out on Twitter and be like, oh, hey, I got 5 for 11. Or like, oh, I got 4 for 11. It's like, that. Great. That's awesome. Good for you. That's what I'm talking about. So this is for 7 for 12.
All right. I know his first name's Corey. I forgot his last name. I'm going to blindly go Big Ten football player.
It's going to stay at 500, Nate. I'm sorry. Corey Lanieri will be on Smile Happy. And you, too, should be smiling happy right now, because that's a good performance. 6 of 12. It's more or less a coin toss game, and I think we just saw it play out right there with going 6 and 6. That's not bad at all. So hope you had somewhat of fun. Hopefully the listeners or the viewers had some fun. I always love this game. It's always a great time. I love playing host because I don't think I'd do too well as a player myself. So yeah, way to stay in there, way to stick around and stay the course. Way to go.
Yeah, I tried to outsmart the math there for a little bit there. Got a little messy in the middle. But I ended up just going back to the instincts, and we ended up okay. 6 for 12. I'll take that 100%. 50%, I guess.
That plays. That's a good batting average. That gets into Cooperstown. Yep. There we go.
All right. Well, now we're going to have to watch the Kentucky Derby. Who is the Bravo guy? Who is he riding?
Joe Bravo. He will be on, if I could find my notes, Pioneer of Medina. Pioneer.
All right. Name like Joe Bravo's got to have some confidence. I'll sprinkle some money there.
Tough to not have any moxie when your name's Joe Bravo. Yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, and I think the horse feels it too. I think that's how it works. I love horse racing like more than anything. Like it's one of my favorite sports to bet on. It's also one of the worst sports I am at betting. But like I will come, not crawling. I will come sprinting back every single time to bet on the ponies. Let's go.
All right, we'll see if your power is still hooked up by this time next week, or if you've gambled it all the way by then. Matt Sheehan with Locked On Spartans every single weekday with fun games like this. I'll be back in to wrap things up here in just a second on Locked On Big Ten for the week. Thanks again, Matt, for joining us as you do every single week here on the show.
You're the man, Nate. Enjoy the Kentucky Derby. Enjoy winning with Joe Bravo tomorrow. That's right. Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Let's go.
Built Bar has all of your protein needs, whether it be just the Built Bar, which is a classic buy now, 100% real chocolate, less than 150 calories, and less than 5 net grams of carbs and sugars, with more than 15 grams of proteins. It's a Built Bar that tastes like a candy bar, this protein bar. Not only do you have the Built Bars, of course, the brand new Built Puffs are just flying off the theoretical shelves. They do most of their sales online at Built.com, which we'll tell you about in a minute. But these Built Puffs are marshmallows. You just pop them right into your mouth. You get that little protein shot to get you through your workout, through your work day, and on a Friday when you're waiting for the weekend, it can be that much tougher too, I know. So head on over to Built.com and at least try out the product. If you've never tried anything like this before, or your supplements right now just maybe aren't cutting for you as far as just how good they taste, Built Bar has all of the stuff that everybody else does, probably even better, while at the same time giving you the taste that we know is better. And we know it from trying it out ourselves. Everyone at Locked On really, really loves Built Bar if you listen to a lot of our shows. So head on over to Built.com right now and use the promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off your order. That's Built.com and promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off. Back in here on Locked On Big Ten, I'm Nate Dickinson, and thanks again to Matt Sheehan for joining us here on the program today. As always, be sure to follow Matt and the Locked On Spartans podcast wherever it is you get your podcasts, and follow Matt personally too. It's at Sheehan_sports, his Twitter. He's doing fun stuff, just as fun as what he does with us here on the show. Before we let you go, of course, a look around everything that you may have missed going on in Big Ten news as of late. It was a short day for news in the Big Ten here today on a Friday, but let's get, of course, what you need to know. In lacrosse news, Maryland will play Rutgers in the Big Ten Men's Lacrosse Championship. Maryland, of course, with a whole bunch of lacrosse history, the number 1 seed facing off against Rutgers, the 3 seed, after both advanced out of their semifinal matches earlier this week. And then the other news, announcements of Big Ten Women's Athletes of the Years in tennis. Kari Miller, of Michigan, named Women's Tennis Athlete of the Year. Her coach, Ronnie Bernstein, named Coach of the Year in Big Ten Women's Tennis. Again, a short news day here around the Big Ten. That'll wrap things up for us today. A reminder, be sure to follow the show wherever it is you're listening to podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe, throw us a like, comment down below. It really does help us out there with the YouTube algorithm. And of course, be sure to stay back here next week to get everything that you need to know on what's going on in the Big Ten. It's at Locked On Big Ten on Twitter, at Locked On Big 10. I'm at Nate with Sports on Twitter, at Nate with Sports, and I am Nate Dickinson. Until Monday, this has been Locked On Big Ten.